Catholic teachings on sexuality have long stirred controversies and global debates insofar as they put the value of women's sexual and reproductive health and rights into question. There are ongoing debates in the Catholic Church among scholars, including theologians and feminists. One of the arguments is that the Church's teachings on sexuality seem to be detached from the lives of ordinary Catholics. Some voices of ordinary Catholic women have received attention in empirical studies that have looked at how Catholic women negotiate sexual and reproductive health and rights with Catholic sexual ethics. The question that arises is how women in different parts of the world deal with normative views on sexuality and reproduction coming from the Catholic Church. What are the similarities and differences in the strategies? In our paper, we review some empirical studies conducted in some of the few countries. While there were empirical studies conducted on how Catholic women negotiate sexual and reproductive health and rights with Catholic sexual ethics, an overview of such studies was still lacking. Our study aim, therefore, was to establish such an overview from the few empirical studies conducted in 9 different countries. Our aim was to look at similar strategies and arguments that the women share. Through creating a review of the common arguments and strategies, the goal was to elicit information that would help us understand and find new ways of thinking and improving the sexual and reproductive health rights of Catholic women. In order to establish the overview of the empirical studies, we used the integrative review method, which is a specific review method that summarizes past empirical or theoretical literature to provide a more comprehensive understanding of a particular phenomenon. We searched for articles in different databases such as the PubMed, Google Scholar, and JSTOR using relevant keywords. The studies we searched for were also time-bound. Only those published between 2001 and 2021 were selected. In the first search, a total number of 21 studies were identified. In the second search, only 9 studies were selected for the review, and these studies were published between 2008 and 2021. While each study had its own specific aim, they all generally researched the relationship of Catholic sexual ethics to women's sexual and reproductive health and rights. The data collection and analysis of this research followed 5 steps of thematic analysis, which are data familiarization, code generation, theme search, theme revision, and theme definition. As often in many studies, women are reviewed as victims of Catholic sexual ethics. For our study, we employed the concept of agency as the core concept to frame the research findings and analysis. We used 2 approaches: sexual agency and female religious agency. Sexual agency is a concept commonly used by researchers of sexuality to explain sexual behaviors and practices whereby one exercises his or her autonomy in matters concerning sexuality. Female religious agency is also another approach that is built on the understanding that religious women possess various types of agency within the social and religious organizations that they belong to. Our aim was to explore how the concept of agency is used by Catholic women to negotiate sexual and reproductive health and rights with Catholic sexual ethics, and also to look at how the concept is used in the formulation of the Catholic sexual ethics by the Church. In all 9 studies, the most discussed topic was contraception or birth control. We distinguished one general strategy for these negotiations and 4 common arguments. The common strategy found within the studies was the reinterpretation of religious elements such as sin and conscience to justify using different methods of contraception. In this context, various arguments were used to claim that using natural methods of contraception cannot be easily interpreted as sinful, as the Church nevertheless does in its teachings. The 4 common arguments were that natural family planning was ineffective and therefore inadequate. Contraception was a lesser evil since it guaranteed not having accidental pregnancies. Thirdly, contraception was perceived as safeguarding health and relationships. And lastly, it was perceived as demonstrating responsible parenting. The dominating approach of agency used by many women in all these arguments and negotiations was the resistance approach. The study concluded that the topic of contraception was the most discussed among other topics about the negotiation of Catholic women for sexual and reproductive health and rights with Catholic sexual ethics. It also concluded that Catholic women use agency in their negotiation, even though the concept is not highlighted in the Church's teachings of sexuality. Finally, this overview contributes insights to the Catholic Church, other Christian denominations, and the society. Thank you.